Hello, viewers. Welcome to my channel, Jedi Master BG. I'm very pleased to have as my guest today Chris Trencher on Quiz Time Episode 5. Hello, Chris. Welcome to Quiz Time.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me. I have looked at some of the previous ones, and happy you invited me to get involved in this project. I think it's a great way to learn, and hopefully I'll acquit myself well and get a number of these correct.
I'm sure you will, Chris. I'm looking forward to recording this with you. Thank you. Every episode will have a different guest, and at the end of this video, I'll be revealing who my guest is on episode 6. So, viewers, stay tuned and find out who's next on the list of my backgammon friends who are joining me on quiz time. So for you, Chris, I think it's 10 quiz positions for you to tackle. Um,
Okay.
I don't know if you'll find them too complex, but we're just interested in the thought process of how you solve the problems. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, and I don't think they'll be too complex. I mean, anything can happen over the board, so we need to be prepared for it. So whatever happens, I won't say it's. I hopefully won't say it's above my pay grade.
Okay, so here we go. This is a nice, easy one to start you off.
All right. Well, we certainly do not want to come off our 21 anchor. We could play 13-7, but that seems a bit passive. I think a critical feature of this position that encourages us is to play in aggressive fashion is Red's blot back on the 24 point. One of the rules of thumb I've learned in backgammon is all other things being equal, a blot on your ace point makes your position much weaker than it would otherwise appear to be, and I think that applies to Red here. A gammon wins us the match, so I am going to attack, and I'm going to hit both checkers by playing off my bar point, even at the risk of opening up the bar. If Red was to hit us on the ace point, we would have a chance to hit that block back. We could also enter with a 6, allowing us to remake the bar, still having a strong position. So I'm going to go for the gammon to close out the match right here and hit the 2 checkers.
Okay. Because the cube's on 2, gammons are not actually valuable.
Sorry. I didn't see that. Why did I think the cube was in the middle? Of course.
Does that change your...
It might. It might. I
Okay.
sorry.
All
I
right.
need to.
Let's
I need to get.
reset then.
I need to get a second cup of coffee. The cube is right there in front of me. Um, okay. So with that, I'm going to make the play that I think wins the most games. Not necessarily wins the most gammons. So in that case, I am going to just play 13-7 and focus on making my 4 point to complete the 6 prime, knowing that if red rolls a 2 or a 3, it steps up. We are going to hit them with 3s or 4s. And if red does roll the ace to hit me, I can again shoot at that blot back on the ace point.
Okay. I
So
love
13-7 is my play.
I love the unintentional like misstep because it shows how important things like the cube are.
Okay. So I do believe that if the cube was centered, hitting both is correct. With the actual position of the cube being in my possession, on meaning that the cube is dead, and we just need to win the game, then I prefer 13-7.
Definitely. Okay, let's see if XG agrees. There we go. So that was a nice one. Nice easy. You got that one correct. 13-7. Here's your next position.
Okay. All right. Both both sides have one checker back, but we are losing the race. But offsetting that, we have a more flexible position where red is a little kind of stacky on his 6 and 5 points, our 19 and 20. In situations like this, you generally want to be the aggressor. If we do not hit red on the 3 point, red has a variety of numbers to make his 21, to make his 22, to blitz us with numbers like 5-5 or point with 5-4. So I am going to make the bar 8-7 and then hit 6-3 with the remaining three.
Okay.
And this nothing at 3 points. I would play this the same way for cash.
Yeah, okay. So this would be your money game play as well.
Yes.
Okay. So there we go. You're 100% right. Everything else is a massive blunder.
Yeah. I think this would be a tougher play if you move some of Red's checkers on his 5 and 6 point, say back to the midpoint, so then the race was closer. But here if we don't hit Red, he's essentially threatening to roll a 6x, get into the outfield, have us miss him, and then get to a position where we've got a checker back and he's escaped, and he also has a racing lead, which would be a solid additional cube for him. So we do need to take the initiative here to detain that last checker, and the only way to do that is either to make the correct play or to switch from the 5 point. But I think switching from 5 point, you see, it's not even listed as one of the plays. We don't want to break our structure. So yeah,
I managed to find a 336 Whopper blunder here. I played this highlighted play at the bottom. I was just looking to build, but yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you give the shot. Your play is giving an ace shot, but so you're taking the downside of leaving a shot, but not getting the upside of preventing him from jumping into our outfield with a 6.
Well, the thing is, though, that one would be useful for the opponent to make the 18 or 21, the 7 or 4 for the opponent. So if it's a choice between them hitting me with the 1 or making one of those points, I don't mind the hit that much.
That's true, but you do mind him just rolling a 6 and getting out.
Yeah. But when he doesn't, if he doesn't roll that 1 or 6, I'm really strong afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like the thought process when I was in the match. So now we are going to go into a different way of doing the quiz. And you are now going to be able to actually move the checkers around. So you've got this 4-3 to play. The score's 9 away, 9 away. How would you like to play this?
Let me look. All right, so 9 away, 9 away is going to be the same play as cash because the score's not affecting us yet. Obviously, the first game of the 9-point match. So very quickly, we have 2 plays. We're either going to cover the blot on our ace point or try to escape the rear checker 23-16. If we play the 3 up, I don't see any reason not to play the 4 out. I'm not worried about the blot on our 10 point because that can only be hit with double 5s. So it's a question of which of those I prefer. Okay, and we've already doubled.
So gammons are quite valuable because we get
Gammons
4 points.
Valuable. Gammons are quite valuable, and if the block was on the if we had a similar type of play where the blonde was on the 24 and you move red 17 point to his 18 point, Um, and we were diversified in the numbers that we're diversified between the numbers that escape versus the numbers that we need next roll. This would be an easy play. But if we cover the ace point, we've got a heavy duplication of threes and fives. We're working on our 5 point and threes and fives to get out, which means that next roll, fours and sixes are not useful numbers. And that makes this complicated for me. So I'm going to think for a little bit longer. This is a very tough one. Because if we cover, you can also come in with numbers like 5-3, 5-6, 5-1, 5-2. And then we've got 3 blots exposed, and we haven't started to extricate the rear guy. I'm going to play 23-16, but I'm not at all confident on this one.
Okie dokes. 23-16. So 23-16.
I didn't even consider the correct play.
Yes. You never mentioned that one. I thought you were heading there when you're talking about how open we'd be and the duplications. I was like, maybe you are going to like just consolidate a bit. But 23-16 and 8-1 are fairly close in the rankings, aren't they?
Well, I now see one of the features of staying back on the 20 point, which is that if black rolls a 2-4 or a 2-6, it's quite disastrous because he has to break his 6-8 or 13 point. And so black having no flexibility with large, or red having no flexibility with large numbers is a feature of this position. But it's so unnatural to play 10-6 here and stack 5 checkers on the 6 point and take away a relatively safely placed builder on the 5 point that I didn't consider it. And yeah, and so I analyzed this correctly that 8-1 is going to win the most gammons, but win considerably fewer games than coming up 23-16. And so those plays were very close as I thought. I just didn't consider the advantage of this play. I mean, you pick up tremendously on 2-4 and 2-6, though his other 4s and 6s are okay. He can play 1-4, 1-6, 5-4, and 5-6. And obviously, if he were to flunk with one of the 9 numbers that flunks, then there's not too much gain, and we've misplaced that builder. But I guess that swing factor on 2-4, 2-6 makes the difference. I don't think, however long I looked at this position, I would have found this one.
Yeah. If I remember, I made 23-16 in the game as well. It is very odd to take away this builder for our 5 point or even the bar point and stack it here. It just feels like wrong almost. It's hard to do.
I don't know if you saw this at the LA tournament. Dirk Sheeman did a presentation. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but
Ugly plays. It was about ugly plays.
Awkward plays or weird plays are correct. And I almost think that this belongs in that presentation because this is just an exceptionally hard one to find.
I'll send it to Dirk and see what he thinks about this position.
I'd be willing to bet that he doesn't. He might get it because of the quiz factor. I think very, very few people would get this right over the board if it just appeared randomly in a match.
It is very difficult, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next one.
I mean, here I just have to be satisfied that I struggled between the other 2 plays, and it was a proper struggle because they were very close.
They were close, yes. Nothing
Yeah.
in the other two.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
now this is going to be your new position. You can't see it just yet, this one here. So this is a cube decision now.
Oh, all right. So this is the same position before red took the cube. And the question is, was red's action proper?
Well, yes, that's right. This is the cube
This
before
is the
the lot.
previous position. This is the previous position with the cube centered, and the position you just showed me, red had the cube. So white doubled. The question is, was it proper for white to double here? Was it proper for red to take
That's
if double?
exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
I mean, yeah, we're up 32 pips. As we said, we're going to win some gammons. We have 1-1. We have 8 numbers off the top from the 3 builders that make the 5 points, along with double fours. Double fives does not make the 5 point, but it's a very, very strong number because we play 23, 8, 6, 1. So there's no way in red's position with the 2 dilly billers and the stripped outside points is too weak for any quick turnarounds, even if we throw a bad shake. So this is definitely a double. So the more difficult question is, does red have a take here? And that I need to struggle with for a second. He does have the deuce point game, and as we said, white does not always cover the ace point, and he's got a variety of numbers with 6s and 4s in it, some of which don't escape the back checker or cover the ace point. So I do think that red can eke out a narrow take here just from the immediate poor variations for white, but probably nothing more than a narrow take. So I'm going to say easy double, big take.
Okay. All right. Let's have a look then. This is. I've caused myself a bit of a headache with this new system. Okay. So here we go. Now you can see it. It
Oh, all right,
was,
it's only a bear double. Okay.
yes. So it's the double which was not as that strong, but the take is quite strong.
Yeah, I mean, red's going to retain their 23 acre equity, and for right now, white still has a double gap coming home. And like I said, there's some immediate tactical variations where white doesn't cover, and red can hit the blot on the ace point, can even hit 2. So he does get some quick turnaround variations. So it's an easier take than I thought.
Yeah. And also, white having that one checker back, there's potential still problematic to extricate it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not.
the heavy duplication of the 3 and 5 makes a big difference here too. I'm fairly confident if you took the white checker and put it back on the 24, so it's instead 6s and 4s that jump out, that's going to give white a much stronger position.
Yeah. Okay, but well done again. You got that one correct. So it's time to move on to the next quiz position, which is this one here. Can you see that one nicely?
Yep, sure.
So we've gone back in time or forward in time, whichever way you look at it. It's the same game, but a bit further on, I think.
All right, so we're coming in, and then we either play 2016 or 84. That's the question. Um, I can't, even though red's position is a mess, I don't want to risk the tactical complications that come with playing 2016 because red has um, some immediate hidden covers such as 6-6 and 6-1 and 3-1 and 3-3 and 3-6. There's a bunch of other numbers where red hits 1, and then if white were to flunk on the board, red would have a strong position and you would have two blocks exposed. So even though we are trained to not go behind the anchor, here I would rather go behind the anchor. To the extent that red would like to make our 5-point, his 20-point, you've got the duplication of threes to hit and threes to make. So I'm going to play 8-4 by 4, just protect my racing lead, and dare red to make something of this mess of a position.
Okay, very good. Let's see. There we go. Now you can see if XG agrees with you. It does. 8-4, and everything else is quite a big mistake, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't see any other place there.
Okay. So let me just load up our next position. Okay, so this is our next position, Chris. It's 3-2.
I'm just hitting and coming up to the 20. I don't see a better use for the 3.
Okay. All right, that was a quick one. Let us not waste time and see what XG thinks. Yes, that is correct. 16-13. So safetying the checker on the 16 is a blunder, and it gets worse from
I
there.
don't. You really. That checker is only exposed to 2-4, 5-4, and 2-2, which is 5 numbers. And if he rolls 2-4 or 5-4, you've got his 5-point slotted, and you still have the deuce point. I'm much more worried if we stay back, then he comes in and we then roll an awkward number because we can't get out behind his 4-point prime. It's a messy structure, but it's still a 4-point prime. So I'm going to worry about escaping the back checker more than safetying the checker on the 16-point because it's just frankly not in that much danger.
Yes, yes. A good analysis. That makes
I
a
mean, a
lot of
critical
sense.
feature of all these positions has been Red's forward position. It's just such a mess with all the dilly-billard.
So now we move on to a double 2. What do you think of this double 2?
Okay, right, stop there. Don't accidentally show me the solution. Well, we want to make a 5 prime, and I do not want to do that by making the 9-point. Because
Okay, so you
that
don't
gives him
want to do that.
I do not want to do that because that would give him 2s to hit as well as the 6s, 4s, and 1s on his side. So
Okay.
I'm going to play 8-4 with 2 of them.
8-4. Okay, good.
All right, that's 2 of them. Now I'm going to think about the other 2. And then I think the trick here is you might be tempted to not play 24-22 because then the last one you have to stack 7-5. But I think I want to do that because it's imperative that we come up, and I don't want to slot on the 3-point to give him the ace to hit us. So I'm going to make this play 24-22 and then 7-5 with the last one. Even though that does put 2 checkers on the 5-point, which is not ideal.
That doesn't look nice to me, but you think it's
But this is my play.
yeah,
This is my play.
yeah. Okay. You wouldn't consider maybe 13-11 to maintain your flexibility? So you
Well,
cover
I could do
there.
that duplicates the aces to come up. So it's not ideal for him to hit us.
Or are you sticking to your guns?
I'm going to stick to my original play.
Okay. So it's this 7-5. Right, it's time for the reveal. There we
And
go.
I got it.
You got it. I tried to turn you to 11, 13, 11, but you weren't having it.
Very very close.
Very close. I like the way that you noticed the duplication of the ones, though, because the finishing position looks like this, and yes, it's duplicating ones to hit or step up. So yeah, that's quite a nice aspect of that play. Okay, let me.
Yeah, if the blot is back. If the blot is back on the 24 point, then he would have twos to step up and twos and fours to hit on his side of the board. So we couldn't consider giving the ace because that would be a new class of good number.
Okay. But yeah, no, well done. This is definitely the correct play, what you suggested. Even though it looks a bit ugly, putting a second one on the 5, it's the right play to do. All right, so let me load up the next position. So game there, and if I just do that there, okay. Transition. Okay, so it's a cube decision now. And it's a different match, different score.
What's the score? I'm sorry. What do we have? What's the score?
It's a 2 away, 5 away in our opponent's favor.
Well, for the viewers, the important thing about 2 away, 5 away is the leader's take point in non-gammonish positions is very, very low, 16%. So the critical feature here is, does white win enough gammons to make this a strong double? Because red will clearly win the position 16% of the time here. He's going to win this position way more than 16% of the time. So the question is, how often does white win a gammon, and does that make it a double or potentially even a drop? Okay, I cannot see red dropping this. But does white have a double? White has 9 in the zone, which is kind of your middle range for a blitz. The general rule is 8 is a weak blitz, 10 is a strong one, and 9 is in the middle. And I believe red would have a take here for cash. But I do think white has enough to offer it at this score, so I'm going to say double take.
Okay, so double and take. Okay, so we're going to go and have a look at that now. Why is that not showing? Okay. Sorry, just having a teething problem here. Okay, so that's that, and it was. Here we go. So this is the double position.
Bare double, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's our starting position. We win 15% gammon, so it's got a more gammonish. It's up to 21.6%. But as we said, red's going to win this game, as it turns out, 41.5% of the time. This would not be a double for cash, obviously, but it's at this score, it just barely gets over the threshold.
Yes, so it's a score-based double. If it was not 3 away, 5 away, 2 away, it would be even more wrong as a double. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, this is essentially a gammon go double. It would obviously now be a double at 4 away, 2 away, but even then, red even at that score, red would still have to take.
Okay. All right. So let me load up my next position.
Now, I think it's a practical matter, particularly if you are playing weaker players, beginners, amateurs. It will not be surprising to get passes here because of the blitz. So over the board, you have to do this enthusiastically.
Okay. So this is our new position in the quiz. It's a continuation after that double. And we've got a 6-6 to play. And remember, I can move the checkers around. So tell me how you want me to do it, and we can play around.
Yeah, I don't need your help moving around. I mean, it's a clear game plan check time. One play is to bring all three out from the 20, bring or at least two out. We can do that, or bring at least two out and then two down.
Like that.
We might be able to do that because we're not too worried about the red hitting us with an ace because the ace is duplicated between hitting and anchoring. Or we can go back and just go for the blitz, which would involve making our deuce point and then hitting loose, probably 13-1.
Okay.
And doing this. The issue with the full blitz is that if he hits us back, the attack runs out of energy quickly. And if he rolls double threes or double fours, then we're actually losing the game because he just anchors up and starts working on his board, and we've got three guys back. So I'm going to make the play that retains our attacking chances next time, but locks down the solid position. So I'm going to take two out to the 18, and then two down to the 7. So now that leaves him an ace. The ace to anchor and the ace to hit are duplicated, and the only non-ace that works for him in safety in his checkers is 3-2. If he does not roll one of those numbers, we're in great shape. I'm not worried about him rolling a 2-6, 3-6, 2-5, 3-5 type of number to take a checker out into our outer board because he's still got the blot on the 11 to work with. So this just puts us in a great position to continue blitzing next time if he doesn't anchor, and also gives us control of all four quadrants of the board. So this is my play.
Okay, it looks very nice. So let me load it up.
But these are very hard, and I tend to underplay these a little bit. I see I just did it again.
Okay, so your play was 2 to the 18. I can't see it here. 13-7-2.
Yeah, my play was a 63 error.
Oh, was this it here?
The first play I looked at was the correct play, just the most aggressive play possible.
But you're right. It's hard to blitz with so few in the zone. We've got 6 checkers out, so that is a bit harder to see. I agree.
Yeah, and as you can see, my play wins more games and loses fewer gammons, but that's besides the point. At this score, we need to play for the blitz. And like I said, I tend to underplay these positions a little bit, worrying about the residual when the attack doesn't work. And looking at this again, if red rolls an ace, we can roll out of steam, and if he rolls a double threes or double fours, he's going to be a pretty significant favorite in the position because then we have nothing. But none of that matters when you're, on a gammon go score because we have enough to go for it.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. This one definitely wins the most, but about 12% less gammon wins.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's one of the at the score though. Is gammon that good? Because we'd go to Crawford game, and if the opponent wins, we're even Stevens. We both it's
Oh,
DMP.
there's something called gammon value. Okay, so if we gammon him, we're 1 away, 2 away Crawford, which is 68%. If we just win a single here, we're 3 away, 2 away, which is 40%. So if we were to compare what's it worth for us to gammon versus what does it cost to lose the game, we go from 40 to 68, which is 28. And if we lose the game, we go from 40 to 0 because the match is over. So we are risking 40 to win 28, and that's a 0.7 ratio. And the normal gammon value in a cash game is 0.5, of course, because if you win 2 points and you make that into 4 points, that's a gain of 2. And if you win 2 points and you turn that into a loss of 2, that's a loss of 4. So 2/4 is 50%, of course. So our gammon value is higher here than it is in a cash game, but it's not as high as it is if we were 4 away, 2 away, in which case the gammon value is 1. And if 4 away, 2 away, I would have gotten this correct, and I would have gone for it, because it's clear to me that you are winning. The incremental number of gammons exceeds the incremental number of losses, but it wasn't clear to me that the ratio was big enough that it would be, enough to make it right at a 0.7 gammon value.
Okay,
So that was a mistake.
okay.
So it's really just these plays come down to really making proper estimates of how many gammons you're going to win, incrementally versus how many games you're going to lose incrementally.
So, I mean, the fact that the game's developed into this position, it shows that that cube, which was very thin earlier on, it's actually worked out quite well.
Well, double six is a great number here.
Yeah. Oh, so we hit one of our best numbers. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you nearly completed the quiz. We are down to our last quiz position, and it's this one here. What do you think about this? 5-2 to play. It's 5 away, 5 away. Totally new game.
Hmm. Well, I'm thinking about two things here, which is first of all, do I want the bar point, or do I prefer to stay anchored up with a double anchor inside on the 20?
Okay.
And the second question is,
So
if I stay if I
that's your
stay here,
5. Yeah.
if I stay here and I don't make the bar, what's my 2?
Okay.
I'm not playing 13-11, and I'm not playing 18-16. Part of this position is that he has those 2 blots, and we do not want to commit ourselves yet to a back game, particularly one that tends not to be very effective, such as a 1-5 back game. So I'd like to position myself to threaten those blots. And I'm not going to play 24-22 because then that gives him some blitzing double hitting options. Um, he's got the large stack on the midpoint, and he doesn't have very many jokers to make his 5-point R20 if we were to come off. And we do want to threaten those two blots, so I'm just going to play bar 18. We'll take his bar point.
Okay, yeah.
And we also, if we want to make a 20-point, we do have a chance to remake a next roll with a 4 anyway.
That's right. Okay.
So if he were to roll a number like 6-5 or 5-4, make the 14 or the 15-point, then us making the 20-point would be an effective counter to that.
Yes, okay, I understand.
Okay.
So the correct answer is bar 26-4.
Okay.
I suffered the way you played here. I played bar 18 as well. Because I thought that blocking sixes from his biggest stack would cause the biggest problems. And I thought the bar point was more valuable than trying to build a home board at this point. So what can we learn from this? Why is XG choosing this play?
Well, I'm looking at the distribution of the games of the gammons here to try to figure that out. I'm not sure. I mean, those immediate jokers that make the 5-point are costly, so that may be the biggest source of swing.
Like the 4-4, 3-3.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the 4-4 is a 3-3, so 3-1.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense as well. But it looks nice to block his biggest stack. There's something I look to. So this will be hard for me to find in a game next time to make the bar or to slot here. So, okay, very good. Thank you,
Yeah, I
Chris.
mean, I guess one of the things that's going to happen here is if he, the more that I think about it, if he were to, there's a lot of numbers where he safeties one of the blots. Okay, he doesn't roll 5-4 or 6-5 very often. So if he rolls a number that makes his 10 or 11 or 15 or 14 point, but using a checker off the midpoint, that leaves one blot behind. If we then are fortunate enough to hit that blot and try to build a forward position containing that blot, it's going to be much more convenient and easy for us to play aggressively if we have the 20-point versus the 18, simply because it's a inner board anchor that keeps us out of any gammonish variations when we attack and it doesn't go well, right? Because there's never that much harm we can be in if we have the 20-point. So given that, we're likely to get into more volatile situations, and we don't have to run from the volatility if we have the inside anchors. So I think that's the main thing I would conclude here.
That's a fantastic analysis. I totally see your point, and I'd not considered that myself. So yeah, it's the safety the having the two homeboard points affords us means we can be much more aggressive. That's right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. In the actual game, my opponent rolled a 5-4, so they anchored up on the 14. I then rolled a 3-1 and I swapped my 24 for the 20 so that I'd blocked his sixes on two places.
Yep.
And that ended up being effective. But I can see how it could have gone wrong by making the bar point. So, yeah, I've learned something from this. Thank
When
you.
he rolls 5-4 there to make the 11, he then gets to a fully, defined position where you're just holding him. through whatever structure you have of those 5 rear checkers. But there are many variations in which he's not able to safety both blots. In fact, he only has a few numbers to do safety both blots, like 2-1, 3-2, 5-4, 6-5. I think that's it. Maybe some doubles. So you're generally shooting at one of those, and I think that's really the point. Just that you want to position yourself to execute on the offense if you hit the shot that he leaves you in most cases.
Yes, yes, yeah. Because we slotting the four, so even if we do aim or shoot for one of these checkers that he's unable to safety, we're doing that having a slotted homeboard point as well. So I think that's what makes it even more important to have these two anchor points.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So thank you very much, Chris. That's brought us to the end of the quiz questions. It's been really enjoyable and educational for me listening to the way you've broke down the different options. Do you have any final words that you'd like to say?
No, no. I enjoy participating in these. I think we're all just trying to grow the community, and people like learning in different ways. Obviously, there are many different books of varying levels of sophistication and nuance, and there are other people doing these videos. I did one where we went through a whole match with my friend Alex Shahian last week. Enjoyed that. Enjoyed doing this one, and the more different types of information that we can get out there, the more people we're going to get because people like learning in different ways. So always happy to support you and support the community and do these types of projects.
Yeah, no, your support is appreciated. Everyone who's agreed to participate on this new format I'm doing, I appreciate their time and expertise, to come on. And you basically also, you're coming in blind because you don't get the chance to look at these positions in advance. It's very on the spot. So that's even
Yeah,
better.
no, it's interesting. I missed 3 questions. The first one, the 3-4, I don't really know what the takeaway from that is because I will never get that right. If that position comes up again in a match, I'll still get it wrong because I don't know I'm not sure I understand what the point of the position is. The second one with the double sixes with the blitzing is just a judgment call. It's very clear what the parameters are, what you're trading off, and how to think about the position. It's just a matter of estimating the numbers correctly, and so it's a useful reference position. And I have actually committed that one to memory in my mind because that's something that's going to come up frequently. And this last one is useful because it's just a reminder to think about sort of precisely what's happening in the next couple rolls. And here, I think, as we said, the point of the position is you're going to get one last chance at the offense because you're most likely to get a shot at one of the blocks. So give yourself the best chance to execute on that because by giving yourself the second anchor, there's lots of little details you could change in this second position. I think that would change the answer. If you only had one blot, it might very well be right to come out to the bar. So, good one to remind yourself how to think about that type of position.
Yes, no, fantastic. Thank you very much. So I'm going to close up the video now. Thank you for joining me. And dear viewers, you're about to find out who's my next guest on episode 6. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Episode 6 will be with Wilcox Snellings. I look forward to you joining me then. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.